Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to discuss sum if. A sum operation would happen if a certain criteria is met. So there are three parts to it. One is the range in which we are looking for the criteria. Second part is the criteria itself. Third part is the range which will get added up on the basis of that criteria. So first part of my video is doing a simple sum if operation, that from a manufacturer A Enterprises, I need to add up sum which is in the column G. So I'll start is equal to sum if tab, range is E3, shift and drop down F4. So I would do another F4. Rows are frozen now. Criteria would be the content of this cell, and again is the column here, not the row this time. Sum range would be the content of this column, and enter. So it gives me an amount here. So what I'll do is I'll just drag and drop this formula and make minor changes to suit my requirement. So in this case, the alpha is to be looked out. Columns have changed now. So earlier the manufacturer were listed in the E column, but product name is C and alpha is listed in product name. So I would change this E to C and my formula would work. Similarly, in this case, wherein I have the specification which is 100 RPM within D column. So I would change this E3 to D3. So now formula works again. This, which is the code, the product code. In this case, I will change my range, the lookup range, to column B. So I have something which is working all right, but in some cases you'll have constraints of keeping all the columns together. That's why people put code names to their product. Every time they're not going to mention the manufacturer and everything and all other details. So some of the list, some of their bills, some of their invoices would only be for the company people and they would not put all the details. It is expected them to know how a code is generated, and they can probably just by looking at the code, they can tell the motor, type, make, the manufacturer, all of this can be told. So they try to save on the columns. Let's say I do not have these columns wherein I have the product name, the specification and the manufacturer listed separately. Let's say I'm a storekeeper and I don't have the luxury of having those columns. It's actually a made up code, but it has a logic behind it. Every time I add a product name, a specification, a manufacturer, I'll get a similar type of a code, which will start from the first letter of the company. It will put a hyphen and then it will add product name, the complete content cells of product name. Then it will again add a hyphen. Then it will add the specification, which is 100 RPM. This is how in this scenario I've made codes of all the products that I'm dealing. Let's say the other things are not available right now and I need to make all my calculations from the column which has codes, and rest all data is not available. So I'll just hide this data. Let's say I just want to hide it. My formula, the other Sumif formula is still functioning and I will keep it there because in case we need to check it. Now in this case, from the column B, using the column B as range, if I want to get the answers or the summation for A enterprise, let's say how much purchases we did from A enterprise, because I've been using A only from the company name. I mean, I'm using only the leftmost letter. So A, and then I used to put a hyphen into it. So what I'll do is sum if tab, my range would be B3 to B18 and freeze the range, comma, criteria becomes something which starts from A. The cell contents should start from A because I'm talking about the company name, and that's how the code has been made. The company name is the leftmost thing that comes into the cell. So I'll start writing inverted comma start A, because I don't use the entire name in the code. I only use the leftmost letter and a hyphen. So hyphen, inverted comma end. Then I will type in ampersand and then inverted comma start, asterisk, inverted comma, close and comma. So what I've done is I've asked Excel to sum only if the content of B column are starting with an A and hyphen. Leftmost characters should be A and hyphen. inverted comma and the asterisk between them means that there could be anything on the right of this content. It doesn't matter if there is anything else or it's only these two characters inside the cell. Irrespective of what the cell content actually is, I should get this. Sum range remains the same, G3 to G18. I'll freeze this, brackets closed, so I get the answer. Let's do the alpha example again. Now this alpha example, this sits right between the content of the cell. It's not on the left, it's not on the right. So what should we do? So we'll write the formula Sumif tab range is same B3 to B18 F4. Criteria becomes inverted comma start asterisk inverted comma close. This suggests that whatever my search item is, if something else sits on the left of it, don't worry, enter and % symbol, then I'll write inverted comma start ALFA inverted comma close. Unlike the earlier case, I'm searching for alpha and alpha is the exact cell content, so I can also hit K8. I'll show that in the example. Write again and ampersand inverted comma start, then asterisk inverted comma close, then comma, sum range remains G3 to G18 F4 brackets, enter. We got it right. The third thing is, now this part which is 100 RPM, this sits on the right. So what we want to do is, if the company, God forbid, if there is a company and we put a code by the name RPM, we don't want it to take that RPM into account. We want the rightmost part of the code, RPM, and the 3 letters of, or the 4 letters or whatever it may be, that should be taken into account and the other should not. So this time the rightmost content is critical and the rest is not. So we'll start writing is equal to Sumif tab, then the range is same B3 to B18 F4. Criteria is 100 RPM. We can also select the cell directly. If you want, I can show you right here, but the left part of the content could be anything else. So first I'll need to put in a wildcard. So I'll start writing inverted comma start asterisk inverted comma close ampersand, and then this cell K9, sum range is G3 to G18 F4, it's closed. So this has not worked for me this time. Now Excel doesn't make mistakes and we do. So what could be it? Let's see if the cell content is exactly the same as I wanted to search. So I'll just do a double click and I'll see if there is some extra spaces or something like that in the cell. And yes, I have an extra space. That's why the formula didn't work. So I'll just remove that extra space by clicking the backspace and enter, and my formula starts giving me an answer. For the same reason, by this formula worked, this formula stopped working. So we need to make amends. What we need to do is, we'll go back to this place and see if they have extra spaces. Yes, they had. I'll just select this column, Control F, and I'll write a space RPM space, and replace this text with space RPM and replace all. When I do this, my problems are sorted. So only means that whenever I was writing the specification of the motor, I had an extra space inside that cell, and when I copied it and pasted it in K column, it worked for all my queries in the N section because they were directly related to this K9. And this time when I used K9, the space was the barrier not letting our function to perform. Now the fourth thing is very simple. The entire cell content is like this. So equal to sum if, okay, a range would be this, F4, criteria is this, sum range is G column, G3 to G18, enter, and yes, all our functions have met the criteria. Whatever we wanted to achieve, we've achieved it. This is how you use wildcard. This is mostly the same with count if also, and I'll show those in a different video. So whenever that video comes in, you'll have a link of similar operations for counted. It's a hands-on technique. If you know that this can happen, even if you forget the formula, you know where to look up. Just leave me a message if you want a specific video to be done. I look forward to it. Thank you guys.